my childhood was spent becoming self-aware, hiding my autism, and then eventually being able to make friends. Now I have lots of friends. I can let that go and go, okay, I've done that goal. Now the goal is reconnecting with being autistic, with my autistic culture. What is autistic culture? Trying to define that. And stimming that's our cultural dance.
So today we're here with Prue Stevenson, who's an artist from Melbourne, bridging the gap between the disability community and mainstream community. What's your favourite thing about being autistic?
I think I chop and change every now and again. At the moment, I think my favourite thing about being autistic would be my natural ability to self-regulate.
Okay.
Yeah, and also having meltdowns. I think having meltdowns would be one of my top favourite things about being autistic.
I'll bet that's probably surprising to a lot of people.
Well, I have a lot of meltdowns, so I guess I have a very different relationship to them than most people.
So you have a good relationship with your meltdowns?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, now I know what's happening, because it was a long time in my childhood of having meltdowns every day, at least once a day, and being very shamed for it and not there's this whole thing that happens with your brain and your body, and you're like combusting, and you have not being aware of what's happening, and that's normal for you is really scary. It was very, very scary. But now I know I'm autistic. Part of being autistic is I have meltdowns. I definitely am very in tune with them, and I can tell. Sometimes I know when they're coming even 2 weeks in or a month in advance. I know, and I can tell my support network I'm going to have a meltdown soon. That's when I'm not having many. Like I've been having not having many meltdowns, and then I can feel one coming on. However, recently I've been having meltdowns a lot more often, so maybe one a day or one every 3 days, probably at the very least.
Wow.
So, yeah, sometimes even 3 in a day. I think I probably have more meltdowns because I do so much. I kind of make that compromise. I go, when I was, I think between about 16 and 17, I had 1 or 2 a year. And that was still when I didn't really know what a meltdown was. And I was passing as much as I could, and I couldn't achieve what I achieve now. I just couldn't do it. I wasn't living my life to the fullest. Now I'm living my life to the fullest, and I might have a meltdown every day, or I might have a meltdown once a week, and that's pretty normal. And I'm happy with that. An analogy would be with light, how when you make up light, it's all different colors coming together and it makes white. So you can imagine all different information coming to my brain and only seeing white. There's just, it's cloudy. You can't really function. You're low functioning.
You can't see those individual colours when it's all coming at the same time.
Yeah. And there's nothing you can do with any of that. But then when I have a meltdown, it can be painful. It depends on the circumstance. It depends who I'm around and what environment I'm in. When I'm at home, I have incredible meltdowns. I can have a meltdown that will last 2 minutes.
Okay.
Because the people around me understand I'm having a meltdown. They're not afraid. They don't touch me. They know not to touch me. And because I'm in such a safe environment, with people who aren't shaming my meltdowns and telling me it's a tantrum, it will last like 2 minutes at the most, and then I will come out of it and my head will be clearer and I can think, like I'll be really tired because I've spent a lot of energy having a meltdown, but afterwards it's very cleansing. What other people would be seeing?
What would someone be seeing if in one of these 2-minute meltdowns, for example?
Well, yeah, I guess my eyes probably shut really tightly. I will stop functioning. I'll cry a lot, and I'll get kind of stuck. I'll just get stuck, like I don't have anything to give or anything to take. I'm just stuck, and I might be stimming as well. It just depends. I had one recently where it was right here actually, and I had a deaf friend of mine, Beth, and my housemate Finn, and we all speak Auslan, and I'm still learning Auslan. So I was trying to follow a story that Beth was telling me, and my boyfriend Teddy and my friend Bornstein were over at that table playing banjo and singing in the same room. And we've got floorboards and high ceilings, so it gets really boomy sometimes, especially when there's not a carpet laying on the floor. So I was working so hard to process what Beth was saying. I forgot that I was processing all of the things that were happening behind me, and I just didn't realize. In that moment, I just forgot, and I didn't feel that I was pushing through so much, and then I just had a meltdown all of a sudden out of nowhere. Not out of nowhere, but for a lot of people around me, it would have come out of nowhere, where I just started crying. I couldn't process anything, and I turned to Teddy, and he knew what was happening. And then I just said over and over, I didn't know, I didn't know. And because it was really painful when I was pushing through, but because I'm so used to pushing through, I don't always see the signs. And in that moment I didn't. But because everyone around me knew I was autistic and was totally fine, they loved me being autistic, it didn't last very long. They knew exactly what was happening. I didn't need to educate people while I was, because a lot of the time when the meltdowns take longer is when I'm in an environment like public transport, and there are a lot of people, there's a lot of information on a sensory level, and sometimes I need to communicate with people, and I might be nonverbal as well, and I can feel other people's emotions, and I can't protect myself from that. So all of that gets really painful, and I'm also trying to push through my meltdown so that I can assist other people through my meltdown. And that's where it can take a lot longer, and it can be extremely painful because I'm educating on the go. I always bring an activity bag with me. I always to manage and so for example, my knitting is so I can self-regulate and people around me feel safe, as opposed to I'm sitting on the train and then I get socially isolated, and then I start feeling anxious, and I can feel all the eyes are on me, and I start people start thinking I'm mentally disturbed, and it just gets really exacerbated. People get angry, they yell, then I start having a meltdown, and then it just gets bigger and bigger, and people don't have that connection with our world. And I really do believe that is because we're not in their world. From the age of 5, we're not in their world. You know, everyone in our society needs to go through the schooling system one way or another. Majority go through mainstream schools. The disability community go through disability schooling, and the autistic community are kind of halfway in between. They're a bit on the fence. And because neurotypicals all grow up in that same schooling system and those schooling systems are segregated, it means that by the time we leave that schooling system and we get out into the real world, they haven't seen us. We don't exist. And so then all of a sudden we're out trying to use public environments or go to university, and it's that much harder. I think that as an autistic person, you need to be really self-aware if you want to be integrated into society.
And do you feel like the burden is on you to have that self-awareness and to bridge that gap?
Yeah, definitely. Yep, I'm a bridger.
You're a gap bridger.
Yep. And my dad often talks about me being on the knife edge of the disability community and mainstream society and building, and my art practice is all about building that bridge.
So do you want to say something about that art practice that's building that bridge? You're doing a project at the moment?
Yes, this one.
Actually, yeah, this is a great project. I was thinking of your Stim Your Heart Out project. How does this bridge the gap?
This is actually connected to stimming because it is stimming. It's just socially acceptable stimming. And so it's really, this is passing. This is me passing as a neurotypical. And I'm really good at passing. In fact, I'm too good at passing because I'm so self-aware of me being autistic, and I became so good at passing at a certain stage in my life that I wasn't able to self-regulate anymore. And I had to find ways to self-regulate that were also socially acceptable to get my goal of being connected with people. I just really love being connected with people. My main goal as a kid was making friends, and I couldn't do that. And so that it was really, my childhood was spent becoming self-aware, hiding my autism, and then eventually being able to make friends. Now I have lots of friends. I can let that go and go, okay, I've done that goal. Now the goal is reconnecting with being autistic, with my autistic culture. What is autistic culture? Trying to define that. And stimming that's our cultural dance. And so a project that has come out of, so Stim Your Heart Out, I worked with Rebecca Jensen, who's a neurotypical dance choreographer, and I chose dance because I was looking at that schooling system and being very aware that people who write the curriculum are good at school. And so they put their favourite subjects at the top, like maths and science, and then there's English, and the arts are down the bottom. And in the arts, we've got a hierarchy as well, where there's music at the top and contemporary art, and at the bottom are theatre and dance. And that to me is basic self-expression, and that's our society's least priority. It's the last priority, and it should
least valued.
The least valued. And it should be the most valued, because if it was a higher priority, people would be taught how to self-regulate. They'd be taught how to stim, and and also how to have a good meltdown, which is in a way that's safe for them and safe for others. I'm at that stage now where I've gotten so good at, I've become so articulate at explaining autism and educating people about autism that more often than not, when I talk to people about autistic symptoms, they'll relate to them strongly.
Yes.
And they'll say, wow, there's something, I've been stimming my whole life, but that's so weird because that's your thing. You're autistic, not me. But it's no, actually animals stim. When they're in a zoo and they might go like, they'll be rocking, they're self-regulating. It's normal. And it's just, we have a word for it because it's necessary for us to do it a lot of the time.
And in a way that not necessarily other people might understand or would be socially acceptable. Okay, well, we might leave it there, Prue. So thanks for your time coming and speaking to us today. It's been really good. and there'll be more interviews later this year, so stay tuned for those. Okay, bye.
Testing the sound. Can you hear me? 1, 2, 3. Bubble pop. Okay, I'm gonna get my knitting.
Okay.
Anyway, this knitting was on the news.
Yeah.
Except it's bigger now.
So hi everyone, welcome to today's interview. Today I'm here with Prue and her famous knitting. Prue is an artist and runs, I don't know, this is the hardest part for me.
I know, I can tell you're a completely different person right now. This is the lamest background I've ever seen in my life. That looks better, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. Nice composition all over it.
If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and hit subscribe for weekly content just like this one. If you'd like to get even more involved, you can join the discussion on social media or support me by becoming a patron. Finally, I value your time and you'll notice all my videos are ad-free, so please help me to cover what you want to hear by leaving me a comment and telling me what you think. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you another time.